everybody. Peace be still. This is Tosha, and you are watching the Supernova Tosha Show podcast, the show that addresses social issues and how it affects our community. And we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. That's our topic today. I realize that a lot of people have been getting terminated for speaking on him, and then we see what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. It's been a lot. It's been a lot, and I shied away from speaking on this topic, but after everything that's been going on and going on and on and on, how could I? How could I shy away from it? This is like the biggest thing that's happened. So we're going to talk about it. So Charlie Kirk was born October 14, 1993, and he grew up in the Chicago area, Arlington Heights, raised in nearby Prospect Heights. So his father is Robert W. Kirk, an architect who had involvement in projects such as the Trump Tower in Manhattan, and his mother worked at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and later became a mental health counselor. So from a very young age, right? So, Charlie Kirk, he showed strong interest in politics and conservative thoughts. And while he was still a teenager, just a mere teen, a young lad, he wrote essays and spoke publicly about his views on limited government and free markets. And his big break came in 2012. And he had met someone by the name of Bill Montgomery, and he's a Tea Party activist who encouraged him to skip college and dedicate himself fully to political activism. And that same year, at just 18 years old, Kirk co-founded the Turning Point USA, which is TPUSA, with Montgomery. So just wanted to give you a little background. The reason being is I've never heard of Charlie Kirk, to be honest. I never heard of him. I've never heard one speech, anything that he did. Didn't know him, never heard of him. And then we all saw what took place, that, that he was basically assassinated. When we saw that, it was like, oh, wow, okay. So now I'm like, we really, 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 really need to talk about this. I started watching videos to kind of get background to see who he is, what his stance and on a lot of topics, and from what I can see, I mean, this guy didn't shy away from anything. The Turning Point USA began as a small grassroots effort, and it quickly grew into one of the most influential conservative student organizations in the country. And its mission was to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility, free markets, and limited government. Now, Kirk traveled extensively to colleges and universities, and often facing resistance on left-leaning campuses, which only amplified his visibility. So the more he was seen and speaking, it just amplified, who saw him. Anyway, by using social media aggressively and tailoring his messaging to younger audiences, Kirk helped Turning Point USA gain rapid traction, and the group became known for hosting campus events and debates and large-scale conferences like the Student Action Summit in Florida. Turning Point also launched initiatives such as Professor Watchlist, which named college professors accused of promoting leftist or anti-American views, sparking national debate over free speech campuses. So over the years, Turning Point USA attracted significant financial backing from conservative donors, enabling the organization to expand nationwide. And then Kirk positioned himself not only as a youth organizer, but also as a key figure in the broader conservative movement, eventually becoming closely aligned with the current Republican president and his base. So The mission of Turning Point USA was clear from the start. What was the mission? Again, identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility, free markets, and limited government. So yeah, with what distinguished Kirk from other young activists was his ability to adapt to the digital age, which most young people, that's all they know. He was quick to recognize the power of social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to reach younger audiences. And I had no idea he was even on any of those platforms. I guess my algorithm just doesn't feed um, speakers like that. So by combining in-person campus tours with a strong online presence, Kirk managed to grow Turning Point USA from a small grassroots effort into a national movement with just a few years. Donors from conservative establishments soon took notice, providing the financial resources necessary to expand. Under Kirk's leadership, Turning Point USA became known for its high energy campus events, debates, and conferences. Yeah, such as the Student Unit Summit. And, it would draw a lot of young conservatives and a lot of like high profile Republican speakers as well. So the organization also launched, the Professor Watch List, as I had mentioned. So basically what that is, I know I mentioned it before, but it's a database, right? And that database highlighted professors that are basically being accused of pushing the leftist or say anti-American agendas, while heavily criticized by many academics and free speech advocates. The initiative cemented Kirk's reputation as someone unafraid of controversy and willing to challenge higher education directly. Uh, like myself, many people never heard of him. And I'm going to show you a video. Um, yeah, I would say, I guess many people in my age group, I would say, because most of the people that are in my circle, they never heard of him. And so obviously after everything that's been going on, they started listening to him and they formed their own opinions. But I'm going to show you a video where he talks about something specific that we're all waiting to see. I think everyone can be in agreement on this. We want them things released. We want them released. Okay. So you know what files I'm speaking of. There's certain files. And let's go ahead and take a look at the video and see what he says. Shall we?
Hey, everybody, breaking news. As you know, this weekend we talked about the Epstein thing a lot. Turns out all of your voices have been heard. We have been on this story relentlessly all weekend. And now it looks as if not only are your voices heard, but something major is coming. And that, let's just say, this is the beginning, not the end of this story. This is a major interview that has been done by my friend Benny Johnson with Laura Trump, the daughter-in-law of the president. This is major stuff. Watch this.
What would be your advice? Given this back and forth, we're just coming off of Turning Point here in Tampa. This was the topic of conversation. What would be your advice in order to take the temperature down on this issue from within the administration?
Well, I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this. And I think that will happen. I mean, look, I don't know what truly exists there, but I know that this is something that's important to the president as well. He does want transparency on all these fronts, that everything we're talking about, because it's frustrated him as well. He sat for 4 years like the rest of us did and saw lie after lie and saw our country just being sent down the wrong path. And it was really frightening and very upsetting to a lot of people to see. And I would actually say over the past 10 years, we've all kind of endured this. Prior to that, it was probably happening, Benny, but we just weren't as aware of it. It wasn't until Donald Trump came down that golden escalator that he just kind of blew the doors off of everything. And people started to wake up and realize, wait a minute, things are not as they have always been presented to us. And I do believe that you will see that. Now, as it relates to the president, I know that this is probably not his number one thing he's focused on. He's focused on a lot of other important things. We've got this big announcement with Russia going on, I think, as we're speaking right now at the White House. We have, a Middle East, we're trying to get peace over there. We're trying to make sure that Iran's nuclear arsenal is obviously completely decimated. We want to make sure everything is on the right track for this country. Fortunately, you've seen no border crossings in the last month. 0, by the way. I think that's incredible. No one's talking about that enough. 0 illegal border crossings in the month of June. Amazing how that's all gone. So I don't know that this was top of mind for him, but he hears all the noise and he hears all of the consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that, I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later. And I guess that would be my advice. But to everybody out there who's all worked up about it, there's no great plot to keep this information away that I'm aware of. I do just believe that maybe it's been slow rolled for reasons that hopefully we understand down the line. And I think we're probably going to get more transparency on it very soon.
That is Laura Trump saying that the Trump administration will, quote, release more Epstein evidence and will have more transparency. She says that President Trump hears the base on this issue and they know how important it is. And let's just repeat that again. There needs to be more transparency. I think that will happen. I know this is important to the president. He is frustrated. He is going to want to set things right. I believe there will be more coming, and anything they're able to release, they will try to get out. They hear it, understand it. To anyone worked up out there, there's no plot to keep this information away. I'm sure we will know down the line. Everybody, this is a major development as we have been pushing very hard for transparency while also understanding and really focusing on this idea of consistency. Nobody here in the audience wants to see any of the private, awful, I can't say it here on YouTube, but let's just say criminal elements of the videos of children being treated terribly. You understand what I'm saying here on YouTube. But what Laura Trump is alluding to is an administration that is listening. And as I said in my program, things are coming. So stay focused. The ball is in the administration's court. It is time for them to act on this. By the way, the odds on the prediction markets have skyrocketed right now. They've gone up dramatically of whether or not we are going to see some Epstein filed disclosures. And so stay on this. Make sure you guys subscribe to our program. This is a breaking news update as we are taking a look at what Laura Trump said to Benny Johnson. I'm going to read another tweet from the great Benny Johnson here. And Benny says the following: just got off the phone with a top law enforcement contact. The change and approach to Epstein has been dramatic. Expect more disclosures. Some very powerful people inside the administration now pushing for a special counsel and a full press briefing on the Epstein findings. Important to note, this drastic change happened after Charlie Kirk and a number of other powerful MAGA voices pushed back on the handling of the Epstein case this weekend at the Turning Point USA conference. They were met with massive roars and applause from 7,000 gathered that could not be ignored. In short, our voices are being heard. Power to the people. Everybody, this...
All right. Okay, so welcome back. And I want you to go ahead and weigh in your thoughts and feelings on what he said in the video. Just be candid, but be respectful, and let's raise our level of communication and respect while we go ahead and put in the comments so that we can all have a constructive dialogue and we can debate, but in a respectful and civil manner. Because when it comes to all of this, political and anti this, anti that, who's the left versus the right, it can be pretty ugly. It can get really ugly, but I think we do need to recognize that there are hard topics that need to be discussed, and we need to really come up with some solutions, solid solutions, that's good for the people. I'm not, Republican, Democrat, whatever. I'm for America. whatever is going to be for the betterment of the people in the United States, not just for a certain group of people, but for everyone. Because I feel that everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone deserves a good life. Everyone deserves to live well. Because you know what? And I've said it time and time again, we're not here for a long time. We're really not. We're just like a mist. And so I firmly believe in just capturing every moment of goodness that you can. And I just feel like some people are not being treated fairly. Some people don't have a fair deal, circumstances, whatever it is. And that's my biggest issue, is just to have lawmakers make laws that are beneficial for everyone. So, Charlie Kirk's willingness to wade in controversial issues has often kept him at the center of public debate, and the subject of Jeffrey Epstein was no exception. I mean, we can clearly see that. He didn't shy away from it. So in 2025, renewed public attention to the so-called Epstein files sparked widespread speculation, especially among conservative audiences who demanded transparency among the individuals connected to Epstein's network. During Turning Point USA's Student Action Summit in Florida, the topic emerged repeatedly, both in conversations among attendees and in the questions posed to speakers, right? So while many conservative commentators were eager to frame the Epstein revelations as evidence of deep corruption and misconduct among the elitists, Kirk took a somewhat more measured stance. After the event, he remarked that basically he was done talking about the Epstein for the time being, signaling that he didn't want the topic to consume Turning Point USA's agenda or distract him from its broader mission. Instead of fanning the flames of speculation, he expressed confidence in the formal channels of justice, stating that he trusted people within the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the administration to address what needed to be addressed. Now, that said, Kirk was not dismissive of the demand for greater transparency. He openly voiced support for unsealing grand jury testimony, arguing that such steps were essential for accountability. His position reflected a balance between skepticism of the government institutions, which is common in conservative circles, and a recognition that due process and legal procedures, rather than rumor and conspiracy, were the proper avenues to pursue justice. So Kirk's handling of the Epstein issue highlighted both his tragic instance and his understanding of the role that he played in shaping conservative youth discourse. By signaling that he would not dwell indefinitely on the scandal, he avoided allowing Turning Point USA to be defined by it, but by insisting on unsealing testimony, he also aligned himself with grassroots calls for truth and transparency. In doing so, Kirk positioned himself as both a leader who could channel the frustrations of his base and the pragmatist who sought to keep the movements focused on long-term goals rather than just, like fleeting controversies. But for me, I don't even know why I use the word fleeting controversies, but the Epstein files is not a fleeting controversy. Like, this is something that we're going to stay focused on. We're not going to be distracted. So there's so many things happening around us, and we're going to stay focused. Release the files, right? So some critics say that Kirk was more focused on growing his brand and influence through social media campus presence than careful policy work or building lasting coalitions. The criticism is that the style often overshadowed substance. So that's from a critic standpoint. Again, it's hard for me to criticize him because I never attended, any of his events, and I never listened to anything either. So, just from that clip that I showed you, I know that he was talking about in particular, the Epstein files, and so that's what I focused on. Something that was an interest to me and was an interest to him was the transparency. And that I know I can jump on the bandwagon with, and that's what I'm focused on. So critics argue that Kirk tends to amplify culture war issues because they generate higher engagement and visibility rather than pursuing more complex policy conversations. And that can deepen political division. So they're basically saying that he did all of this so that he can get likes and views, to in layman terms, in you and I terms. So then we come to the shooting that happens on September 10th of 2025. During a public event at Utah Valley University, Charlie Kirk was shot and later succumbed to his wounds. The event was part of his American comeback tour. It was a speaking and debate series that it was intended to visit campuses nationwide. So he had planned a nationwide tour, and according to reports, the shooting occurred like around 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, approximately about 20 minutes after the event had begun. And Charlie was debating a question about mass shootings with a student when he was struck. His last words, according to transcripts, were part of that back and forth discourse. The bullet reportedly entered his neck. The suspended gunman was said to have been positioned on a rooftop about 142 yards, approximately several hundred feet away from where Kirk stood. So now the suspect, Tyler James Robinson, he's 22 years old and arrested about 33 hours after the shooting in Washington County, Utah. Prosecutors have charged Robinson with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and a violent offense in the presence of a child. So these are all the charges that James Tyler Robinson, just 22 years old, is facing. And I saw the video of it, and so it looked at the went right through, and like his neck just gave out, and it was quite frightening. It was I couldn't imagine just being there, seeing it live, and just I don't think I would have been the same. That was traumatic, just watching it on video. I guess it was someone's recording. I don't know if it was actual video recording or it could have been somebody's phone. But the irony of him speaking about guns, and then this happens. I don't know, but prosecutors, the case is being treated as a politically significant assassination. Utah's governor has described it as a tragic and alarming event for the nation at large. The assassination has revived intense discussion about security at public political events and the combustible nature of modern political rhetoric and the safety of public figures in controversial or confrontational settings. That has been a huge concern because even in just like local government, like the commissioners of your city or the mayor of a little town, when they're I hear them bringing that topic up a lot about safety and security and speaking at different open forums. So I've never heard it such a big concern until now. So now that Kirk is gone, there is a leadership transition. So Erica Kirk steps in the wake of Charlie's assassination. The board of Turning Point USA unanimously appointed his widow, Erica Kirk, as CEO and chair of the board. It was publicly reported that Charlie had, prior to his death, expressed a desire for Erica to take over if something were to happen to him. The succession plan was, at least in part, anticipated by the organization's leadership. And Erica Kirk's background: she's a former Miss Arizona USA 2012. She is a podcaster as well, a businesswoman, and a humanitarian who had already been involved in various aspects of public engagement and Christian ministry. So she has a lot of, public affairs experience. Erica has expressed grief, resolve, and a commitment to continuing Charlie's mission. She framed her leadership transition as part of honoring his legacy. The board and many donors have offered strong support after his death, and Turning Point USA saw an influx of donations and renewed pledges of backing. Wow. So a lot of people who back Turning Point USA, they're just donating and donating and backing and backing. So Erica has also faced immediate pressure, as the organization now must navigate leadership under intense scrutiny and in a charged political environment. Her ability to maintain momentum, relationship with donors, and the direction of Turning Point USA will be vital moving forward. So I have to say that I don't remember. I think he has 2 children with Erica. So, she is definitely, from what I saw, one report, I think she was pursuing her doctorate in, is it theology? I believe. Yeah, so she is pursuing, or she's soon to be a graduate. She'll be Dr. Erica Kirk pretty soon, because she's pursuing, but I believe she's pretty close to graduating. And I can't verify that she said this, but from what I'm hearing is that she's like, they have lit a fire in her, and if the world hasn't seen anything yet, so she's coming out with, like, got that eye of the tiger, you're gonna hear me roar type of fire inside her. And with her husband, she's now a widow, and her children are without a father, and I'm sure they had plans of her joining him, or I don't know, maybe he was stepping down because he saw something greater coming for him, and then she would step in, or whatever the plans are. But now she has to pivot and have to kind of change some things while mourning, and having to go from having that nuclear family to now navigating life, grieving, and being a single parent. So, but she has a lot of support. She's got Turning Point. She's got the people to support her. She has his side of the family. She also has her side of the family. So everything is still raw and fresh and new right now. So I can just imagine, all the steps that she's going through, because when you have a loss, you go through the anger, you go through the why, you go through, where do I go from now, how do I navigate life? So I'm sure she's experiencing all of that, but she seems to have been keeping it together thus far. And some some pictures that I assuming she authorized to release, because she was there by his casket. And Yeah, I don't know if she was present at the time that he was giving this speech, but yeah, it really that was traumatic. That was traumatic for me to see, and I could just imagine what everybody else was going through, and including her. Um, so with in light of everything that's going on, I as you go through social media, you can see the tweets, you can see the posts, you can see the emotions on everyone. It's out there. You're at a restaurant and you hear the conversations. You see two or three people on the street gathering, and you can hear a conversation. I actually heard it just once, but um, ever since this happened, for some reason, I've been going out a lot lately. As they say in the old days, my dance card has been full, and just hearing other people's conversation of what's happening, plus what I see online, um, from certain people that I didn't even expect things from. But my grandma used to say, "The longer you live, the more you learn," and I'm really letting go of having high expectations from people. Um, they say once they show you who they are, believe them. And I no longer have expectations of people, and I'm slowly letting that go, because that's one thing. You think people think one way, and then no. In closing, I want to say that as a teenager, I had the privilege of working alongside physicians in many different fields. And when I used to draw blood, right? I took blood from Latino people. I took blood from Black people. I took blood from white people. I took blood from Asian people. We saw all types of patients. And every time that I drew blood, it was the same color. It was always the same color. Um, and to me, it's a powerful reminder that beneath our skin, we are all connected. And when our time on this earth is over and we return to dust, there's nothing more. There, that's all we are. So you're not superior to anyone, because we all bleed the same and we're all going out the same. And to me, there's nothing more beautiful than unity. And if you see the joy on someone's face, and when I say someone, I mean a European person, the joy on their face, the first time they eat a plate of Jamaican rice and peas and oxtail and curry goat, and the flavor just melts in their mouth, and it goes up in here and then down into their stomach, right? And the laughter of a Black person when they go bungee jumping with their white friends. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never done this before." That Black boy, Black girl joy, right? And when you see a Latino in experiencing Asian culture for the very first time, you know, I just want to say, I'm going to leave you with this, that love is sweeter, love is stronger, and love is way more contagious than hate. And when we choose love, the world becomes way more beautiful. And that's all I have to say on that. To my loyal family, the Supernova Tosha Show podcast can be heard on these apps such as Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. The goal is to be on the 10 best podcast lists to listen to. So please like, share, and subscribe. Talk about it, be about it, talk about me, spread the word. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Spread the word. Spread the word. It's free. It's not even cost you anything. I just want to let you guys know that I am so grateful for your time. I want to thank you for being so attentive and listen to me ramble on and my thoughts. I appreciate your presence. I want you to be careful. I want you to walk good. And remember, peace be still.